What is going on, guys? It's your boy BG, and welcome to the Unknown Minds podcast, where the unknown mind is unknown. And of course, you do definitely see a different change in scenery. And I have a special guest today.
My name is Micheal Imhienintama.
So, I mean, you know, I pretty much got hip to you, bro, and that we kind of like tapped in when what's the name had that little joint going on. So the pop-up shop. So I'm a little bit in a blur right now, but she was like, she told me to go ahead and just tap in with you so we go ahead and do this podcast together. So when I had kind of like seen your stuff on your Instagram, especially when you was doing the poetry, I ain't gonna lie, the joint was fire. You know what I'm saying? So just explain a little bit about yourself, bro.
Well, I'm a poet, author. I got different titles. Spoken word. I got different, like, whatever people want to go by. But yeah, I write poetry books. Been serious with it for about a year now. Like I told you before, I've been writing for 11 years. So it's just my God-given gift. College graduate, just 21. My life really is just starting. So just trying to spread my story out to people for them to like really, relate to it on a personal level.
Yeah, so as far as like your story, and you said, and I know beforehand we got warmed up beforehand. Yeah. So you said you want to make sure that your book was definitely relatable to the people. So what are some concepts in the book that you feel as though a lot of people can relate to as far as like the feeling that the book gives?
That's a great question. I think a concept in the book a lot of people can relate to is, having a talent but being reluctant to show people because you're afraid of judgment. You think people not gonna like it, people not gonna mess with it. But in the book, I talk about like overcoming your fears, which is good, and just letting people know, I have a God-given talent. So regardless of how people feel about it, I'm gonna put it out there. So yeah.
So as you was growing with your talent, did you like? I get that 100%. You ever feel like that feeling when you know you have a talent, but you're also trying to speak your vision to people, and the people just don't see it in the same eye?
Yeah. The reality is not everybody gonna see your vision. Not everyone will understand it. Especially with how things are. People don't really have a mind of their own, so
that's right.
It's like everyone's a follower. So at times, you do have to step out your comfort zone. And even though it wasn't planned, it wasn't like, oh, I want to be a leader. I think I'm going to be a leader. I just did what I thought was right and everything aligned. So, I mean, I'm not one to call myself a leader, but I just feel like did something
you do what you got to do, bro. I feel like in a lot of spaces, in a lot of places, I had mentioned in one of my Instagram posts that I had posted today, I was saying that, everyone has a form of intellectual property. And what intellectual property is everyone has like a skill or a gift that someone is willing to pay for, right? 100%. And a lot of people, they have a lot of gifts and things of that nature that they don't follow because they have the fear of what people may think about their gift, right?
100%.
And to keep 100 with you, bro, a lot of niggas gonna hate regardless, bro. Like, that niggas gonna hate when you do something good. Niggas gonna hate when you do something bad. Niggas gonna hate when you don't do nothing. So it's like it puts you in the fact of, like, how long did it take for you to really, like, just say, let me just get on my shit with this poetry shit? Because it's a lot of people that be put under pressure. And, like, what would you, matter of fact, before we even get into that, what would you recommend to people who want to stand outside the crowd? What would you recommend for them to do? Because I do understand that every, situation is different.
Yeah.
You feel me? So what would you recommend to someone who want to be in your position?
I
know I try to lay a lot.
You good.
Yeah, I know I try to lay a little whole lot on you right now.
To keep it simple, stop thinking about it. I think that's a lot of people's like that's something a lot of people deal with. Like, a lot of people tend to overthink, what if this happens, what if that happens. You gotta stop thinking about it and just do it, because at the end of the day, I feel like you will feel relief and joy knowing, even if it doesn't work out how you plan, at least I tried. At least I tried to do something. You know what I'm saying?
That's facts.
So, and I felt like that was my biggest fear. Like, I would always think of the worst when it came to my ideas, my vision. People won't like it, people won't that. But the reality is, like you said, everyone does have a talent that they can use. Because at the end of the day, it's not all about money.
That's
like,
facts.
when it's your passion, like, it's cool to get money from what you're doing. Like, I would never sit here and pretend like,
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 you know what I'm saying? I think the best thing in the world is making money for something that you love to do. So, like, but I do understand, but people do got to understand the concept too, though. Even if you love something, you got to make sure it also helps you to live comfortably too. You know what I'm saying? So it's it's like a lot of people, they follow certain skills and certain attributes that I believe, for me, this is just my personal opinion, that people follow certain skills and certain attributes that just doesn't make them no revenue. So regardless of whether you following something good or not, you still broke. You feel me? So I ain't hating on nobody, loving what they do, but also take consideration how much you can make from what you're doing. Now, for what you doing, you got the shit doing with poetry. You know what I'm saying? Oh, let him get that though.
What?
Yeah, no, somebody was not gonna do it, but I get it to the full extent that when you're dealing with something doing with poetry, you're what you're trying to put out is the thing that creates feeling that people could create. That's you can make money off shit like that. You know what I'm saying? That's a feeling.
Yeah.
So like, if you got something that's fully 100% relatable to people, of course you can make bread off that shit, bro. Yeah. Not like I said once again, it's not about trying to make money for it. It's really just trying to build connection with people at the end of the day.
Right.
So, like, how did it really change for you? Like, what pushed you to that mode? Like, fuck it, like I'm about to just go hard with this shit.
I mean, I've always known I can write. I've always known I've been good with words, but like I said, I was always overthinking stuff, always thinking the worst. So, I was in like a down part of my life, which led me to start writing more. And the more I was writing and reading it, I was like it's hard. Like, there's somebody in the world that can pick this up and read it and be like, I've been through the same thing. So I was just like, why not just publish it? Why not get serious and see where you can go with it? And like I said, even if it didn't work out how I wanted, I would still be satisfied knowing I at least tried. You know what I'm saying? And if it didn't work out how I wanted, I would just come with a different strategy, to elevate. So,
that's it. Nah, that's for sure. That's a bar for sure. So, like, why did you name your book Chosen?
Sure.
That's one. Because I'm. By the way, you go flip your book up, bro. Because I'm already gonna ask you about it. I actually kind of like peeped down. I kept looking at the book. So this book is called Chosen. And where people can find this joint at though?
Amazon and Barnes and Noble Press. You can search around Barnes and Noble though. They should have it. And I sell them too. So if you put my ad name on the joint, I mean I make something happen. Meet up with people.
I'm gonna put everything in the description down below. Yeah. So yeah.
But to answer your question, I think it goes hand in hand with what I was saying. I think I have a God-given talent. So I literally feel like I was chosen. Like, God really chose me to do this. Like, I feel like when people read my poetry, they can tell, like, I'm just natural with putting words together. And I feel like it's very short and simple. Like, it's not a long, complex book title. Chosen. Like, I was chosen to do this. Like, it's a God-given talent. So
I got you. So who did you have to transform yourself into within that process? What did you have to change about you to be able to make this move, like, throughout the whole? Because I know, like, when you have an end goal, we're gonna get to that part, but what were some changes that you had to necessarily make for yourself to be able to make this move?
That's a good question. I mean, first of all, I had to get more discipline, because it's very easy to talk about what you want to do, what you're going to do, what's going to happen this date, that date. But, if you're disciplined, then it's going to be just that, just talk, no action. So I think I had to transform myself into being more disciplined, more serious with my time, more serious with the time that I give other people, because, when you're in school, when you're working, when you're writing books, it's just like, you can't just be out and about just doing anything, if that makes sense. Like, you have to make use of your time. So I think I just became more dedicated, like really becoming a man of my word, like saying I'm going to release this date and stick to it, put the work in to do it, do what I do, reach out to people in the whole process of writing a book. So to answer the question, I had to just get more dedicated, more disciplined, more focused. stuff like that. So,
That's cool. That's cool. So, so the thing about self-discipline, man, I think, and to feed off what you just said, bro, like self-discipline is a thing that a lot of people don't have, and whether that's like most niggas don't want to sacrifice. That's one thing. Most niggas don't want to like not go to the club. They want to not like, you know what I'm saying? It's like, I feel like it's not even just like, it's people in general. They don't want to sacrifice. And I literally, before we got into this podcast, before this, I was talking with someone in a Zoom call, and I was just telling them that like a lot of people talk about law of attraction, but they don't talk about law of execution and the law of sacrifice, law of exchange. Mm-hmm. And when we talking about law of exchange, you're literally exchanging one thing to gain another. And a lot of people don't want to go into those depths and understand that. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And it's more so of the process of who you got to become within that process. Because it's like, you yourself, you know that from who you were before to who you are now, wasn't going to be the same person. Kind of like the same person, but not the same person. You feel me? It's it's a transition. It's a transition throughout the whole process. Just like for me, right? Just to say, for example, I have an end goal, right? Being able to leave a legacy by having impact on people with speaking. And I do it through a podcast. I do it through content creation. I do it through a wealth building. It's more than that. But I gotta understand that who I was before, I gotta know who I have to become within that whole entire process. I do know at the end goal, I'm not gonna be the same person I am now. Mentally. So, you know, a lot of people put themselves in this mindset of like, oh yeah, I'm still who I was 5-6 years ago. Nigga, that's bad. You get like you can't be the same. You can't be the same nigga you was like 6-7 years ago, bruh. Because if you were the same person 6-7 years ago, that means you've been doing the same shit for the past couple of years of your life. There was no growth and there was no expansion.
Yeah, being complacent. Yeah.
So for your process, who do you think you need to become throughout the whole process? Because I know it's like for everybody, through everybody's journey, you're gonna have some motherfuckers that you just gonna have to drop their ass off at the bus stop. Mm-hmm. You got the bus ride. You got niggas getting on the bus, and there's a lot of niggas gonna be getting off the bus. And there ain't gonna be too many that's gonna be sitting there with you all at the end of the to the train station.
Right.
So, who do you feel like throughout like your for one, what's your end goal, and who do you think you need to become throughout that process until you get to your end goal? Who do you think the overall you will be by the end of your goal?
I think my end goal is to be like a really famous, established author. An author, and I feel like it's a better feeling knowing that I'm a man of color too, doing what I'm doing.
Facts.
You know, knowing that like not just in the DMV, but you know, somebody on the other side of the country could read a poem that I wrote and like I went through the exact same thing. So I feel like that always makes it better. But my real end goal, I mean, I want to sell a lot of books, but I don't want to rush the process either. I don't want to kill myself about selling books because at the end of the day, I don't want to be too like focused on a specific goal. Then I feel like that's true. It's gonna knock me off my pivot. So I'm gonna let things come natural because I know that I have a God-given talent. And I know that people like my work too. And that in itself does satisfy me. So I just don't feel the need to stress over numbers and stuff. But my end goal, I want to be a really famous author. I want to do spoken word. You know, I want famous people, regular people, rich, broke, poor, middle class. It don't matter who it is. I just want them to know about what I do. And I mean, when it's all said and done, I want it to be like a worldwide thing. Like you can find my books in other places. And I know in order to get there, I just gotta keep doing what I'm doing. Stay focused. You know, like don't let a little bit of success, like just because people in your area know what you're doing. I just don't want to be complacent. You know, I just want to keep moving, keep going up. So
for you, right? So like when you did your book and you got things together, was your beginning impact was to the area or going outside the area? Because there's a lot of people that get into these stages and mindsets like, bro, I'm gonna go ahead and just just feed the whole area. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna make sure they straight. But a lot of times it won't be people in your city that's gonna support you. You have to sometimes go target outside your city. So it's a lot of people that have that mental mindset of, all right, I'm just gonna put all this in this city and then we're gonna branch out, instead of looking forward to branching out that city and getting more people to support you that outside the city than it is in your city. So what was your target audience when you generally made this book? Like, was it like, fuck it, it's gonna blow up with a blow up, or or I'm just gonna hit Maryland, DMV, and then go outside the city?
I mean, be transparent with you. I didn't have a specific target audience. I just wanted whoever
can fuck with it, fuck with it. Yeah, whoever fuck with it. Yeah.
Just from the past year of doing what I was doing, I can definitely say I have the support of like my peers and people in my city, but I was like, I knew to get to where I want to go, I have to branch out more. But it's a little harder doing it with a book, because it's just like, how do you really branch out to people in other states with a book? So, I mean, I've been doing my homework. You know, I still got things I got to do to get to where I'm going. But to answer your question more specifically, it was just like, I'm gonna make this book, and I'm going to market it to the people in my city. And if they can fuck with me, especially living in the DMV of all places. So,
hey, nah, you ain't even lying about
I was
that,
like,
man.
if they can fuck with it, I feel like I can go sell this thing anywhere.
You just go
keep
crazy.
it real with you. And I mean, glory to God, thank God. I mean, I be in the most random places selling it. I mean, I've sold my book to job interviewers, people in my job, random
That's
people.
hustle, bro.
Yeah,
That's hustle, bro.
Just hustling. You know, try to do what I got to do. To be honest, so yeah.
So I feel like, all right, let me ask you this question. This is gonna be a really rhetorical question.
Yeah.
If you knew, how long would it take for you to get where you need to be, would you still pursue it? Because that's a trick. That's the reason why that could be a really tricky question. Because a lot of people, they set themselves up. They try to market their success at a particular time, right? Mm-hmm. And just like, all right, you know how like a lot of people our age group, they be like this, saying like, yo, you know, I want to have everything by 30, but then they don't get by 30, and they stop doing what they doing. So like, if you knew, if you didn't know how long it would take you to get where you need to be, what you could pursue, what you want to pursue.
I mean, I think that's the best part, not knowing when specifically you're gonna reach a goal. But if I was to like, I don't know, like talk to God, and He told me like, this is when everything you work for is like really, really gonna happen. I mean, I would still do it regardless, because at the end of the day, I get a kick out of doing it. You know, I generally like what I'm doing. It's my passion. And, you know, like I said, it's not all about money, you know, when you're doing something you actually like to do. So,
that's facts.
Yeah.
I 100% respect that.
Yeah.
So, what, besides, you know, things dealing with self-discipline, like, what did you really have to change? Like, because I know to some people, it's different. Like, some people, they got to change who the niggas they fucking with. Some niggas had to be like, look, these niggas ain't on the same, you know what I'm saying? They ain't on the same boat as me. So I need to change my group. I need to change my association. I need to change what I'm digesting myself with. So was there anything else specifically in that process, like physical changes you had to do besides the mental self-discipline? Because I know self-discipline, that right there could be taking the ice on the cake just by itself, because a lot of people aren't disciplined. Yeah. But were there more in-depth changes that really enforce you to like, all right, habits, right? Think about habits. What habits did you have to change? Because I know habits fund your lifestyle. So, you know, trust and believe me, if I wasn't doing the habits I'm doing now, none of this shit would not be going on right now. I would not be talking my shit on here.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, but back to the question I'm asking you, was there more in-depth internal change that you had to make for yourself within that process? Because everything starts internally.
To an extent, I would say I had to put more words into action. And to answer your other question, then I'll go to the internal one.
That's cool. That's cool.
I mean, I wasn't like it wasn't like I was like, oh, I can't fuck with you, bro. But it's like it's something that niggas will have to just notice. What would their like? They would have to notice themselves. Cause me personally, I mean, I fuck with everybody the same, and when I come to the realization that, you know, me and another nigga are just not on the same type time. I mean, it's still love. You still my bro. You know, I still look out for you and stuff. But I feel like in life, usually people tend to go their separate ways. Like sometimes it's more confrontational. Sometimes it's just something you just let happen. So, I mean, the people I'm close with, I'm still close with them. But I just had certain goals I had to do. So
in other words, you did have to drop niggas off at the bus stop. You did have to drop niggas off at the bus stop. Oh, all right. I mean,
yeah, something like that.
And you know, and it's to feed off what you were saying earlier, it was something that you had said earlier that really like clicked with like the topic. What was the perception like? How can I say this? How does it feel for you to be able to be the person to narrate your own story? Because a lot of us, you know, people be set in certain positions where their narrative is not their narrative, it's someone else's narrative.
That's true.
They usually set the story of what someone else set for them, and now they just go with the story that someone else tells them. Just like how, you know, a lot of people that go to school, they ain't going to school because they want to go to school. They going to school because their mama and them told them to go to school.
Yeah.
So how did it feel for you to be able to have your own book and have your own, you know, your own specific platform to be able to change the narrative to tell your story the way you want to be able to tell it? How did people take it when you did that?
I mean, I can't lie. It's something that, it got me a lot of respect. It got me a whole lot of respect that I wasn't even expecting, because from my point of view, when I had first started publishing and writing, it was just more like I'm just good at poetry. I just want you guys to read my poetry. That's it. But I feel like I didn't look at the bigger picture, that like people will respect you for stepping out and doing something that hasn't really, I won't say that hasn't been done before, but that it's not that common. But I was just like, hey, read my poetry. But other people were like, oh, like, you're courageous, like, you're brave, I respect you. You're doing something different, and, you know, you're humble about it and stuff like that. So I can't lie, it's a great feeling. I wouldn't trade it for anything in the world, knowing that, you know, somebody can pick up my book and know about my life. You know, I had to get more vulnerable, obviously, because there was a point in my life where I wouldn't want that to happen. I wouldn't want anybody to know about my life. I wouldn't want people to know that I struggle with certain things, or, you know, as niggas that I got feelings.
I ain't gonna lie. Yeah, that's another thing too, bro. Like when it comes to us, like dudes, we like that vulnerability shit. Like we don't like. I ain't gonna say we don't like to. We just aren't taught to learn how to be more vulnerable. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, because you know how society, they bred us dudes to die. Don't be vulnerable to nobody. Or if you vulnerable, you a weak ass nigga. You know what I'm saying? That's how they be looking at it. You know, feel me? But that's why I was saying, like, empathy is a way of being able to learn how to be able to be vulnerable and be able to learn how to grow. Because if you aren't vulnerable in anything, there is no way you be able to grow whatever field you're trying to get into. So it's like vulnerable is just being open to opportunity. That's how I look at it as. You know what I'm saying? Open to opportunity. Just like some people, they get into relationships. Shit don't fly their way. Shit just because it was such a bad experience, and then when they about to get in their next relationship, or they want to get into the next relationship, they like a closed door, and that closed door stops them from maybe experiencing something that could be beneficial for them in a life changing way, or can help them grow more.
Right.
So, if you mind me asking this, what were some things that you feel like that were really like touchy in the book, where, you know, people were like, all right, this, you don't have to lay out everything, but just like one scenario where it's like, all right, let me just drop the ball on this one. I know this probably ain't something that really ain't me, but it's me, but it's something that like, I gotta let these people feel what I'm coming from. I gotta let these people know how I felt at that time, at that particular point in my life, where I want others who've been there to know that they're not alone.
Right. I have a few poems that I say are like, me, like, I always know that I get, like I always know that I got really, really vulnerable in a poem when I don't really like reading it back to myself. That's when I really know that, like, damn.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
That's deep.
Yeah, so I have I think it's like the fourth or fifth poem in the first chapter of the book, and it's called "Tear Me Down." And like in this poem, like I really let it be known that things do get to me. Like I guess words do hurt, and I did feel a certain type of way, feeling like people had turned their back on me. Tables was turning. Life just wasn't playing fair. So I just let it be known that at the time I was a little bit discouraged, and at the time words did bother me. So I have another poem. I believe it's titled "I Don't Deserve You," and in this poem,
that's just like it's deep.
Yeah, and
that sounds like it's deep.
Yeah, in this poem, I'm just letting it be known. Well, it's a broad poem because I feel like a lot of dudes can relate to it. But the overall message of the poem is that, like, you're doing everything right. Like, I'm feeling you, I'm fucking with you, but I just don't think I'm ready. Like, I think I'm going to mess things up based on my prior relationships and stuff. So,
that's deep.
Yeah, so
that's deep. Yeah. That's deep. That's deep as hell. Like, you got me over here thinking about, like, that's some deep shit.
And I have another poem, I believe it's titled "Truth Be Told," and this one is not as deep as "Tear Me Down," but it touches like the same subject. Like it does hurt, feeling like people out to get you. Feeling like people just won't leave you alone and stuff like that. So yeah.
And just like feed off what you were saying about your first book, bro. Well, one of your books. Saying that words hurt. People don't understand, man. Words is like vibration. Words is a form of energy, and I always look at like energy means energy and motion. So when people let out their energy, that energy is flowing through words, and that's why I always say, like, however way someone feels, the only way to project that energy is through empathy, and empathy is a translation through emotions through words. So the way someone feels is being translated through a person's words, and that shit really does hurt. Especially when it's like you have that feeling when a motherfucker mean it, bro. Like that you like, it's like like somebody had that shit sitting there in that fucking closet for a minute, and now they finally got the opportunity to let that bitch loose. So that's like one of the most craziest feelings, and I've been in positions where people say certain things and it hurt me to where I knew that person meant it. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes people don't really understand, especially as dudes. We, like I said, we don't like expressing our emotions at times. And then when we do express our emotions, we express it in the wrong way. Yeah. Since it's not the way we should express it, but most of the time we got to be the ones that's being most logical in most instances. But logic doesn't remove the fact that we're built with emotion.
Fact. Yeah, that's fact.
You know what I'm saying? So, like, people might, shorty might say, look, why you at da? Because now you pushing me to the point where you're not allowing me to you speak in your mind. I'm trying to speak with logic, but because those words hurt, so the words cut deep. People don't understand those words cut deep, bruh. Depending on who you encountering, who you've been talking to. And it's like somebody maybe you loved or you admire. Like, words cut deep to people you care for.
Fact.
That shit cut deep. That's like my mama told me like nigga. You can't do no podcast, or she might say some shit because like that's somebody who I feel like I prize. But I think we all got to get to a certain point in life where even though the ones we love and care about, sometimes we gotta let those feelings of what they don't see in us go.
Fact. Yeah, I agree with you.
Because it's like you want like the people around you who closest to you want them to support everything that you're doing.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing. I feel like a lot of people who got a God-given gift, who know they're chosen. I feel like a lot of people chosen. Just a lot of people don't believe they're chosen. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I was thinking about like your book cover. Like, yeah, you say you believe you're chosen, and then when people think of the word chosen, they think of like this person is the only one that's this way. where a lot of people are chosen.
That's
a lot
right.
of people have a gift that they can express to people. It's just that they choose not to express it.
Right.
Because they feel like they aren't the chosen one. They feel like they aren't the person that should express their God-given gift.
That's fair.
I know I'm over here rolling. I know this file because it got to the point where it's like
No, you talking shit though.
yeah, I like because now you got me thinking now because like when you explain some things that, as you said, you know, when I was thinking with empathy, like when you said this book relate to feeling, I understood where you were coming from with it because I feel like I'm chosen. Right. I feel like I'm very often misunderstood by a lot of people because they don't understand the work that I had to do to get in the position I'm in.
Right.
You feel me? And I'm pretty sure it's the same for you.
100%.
Like most niggas, they would literally sit here and look at you crazy as if they didn't do what you did. So why would I expect someone to understand that they didn't do what I did? You know what I'm saying? So like I said, one point in time, I'm still gonna get one. I was gonna get a tattoo called misunderstood because I feel like I very often misunderstood shit. I might fuck around and start doing some right for goddamn self. Fuck around, open up a book and just might not be poetry, but I think it's definitely a way to express how people feel. So what is like what was the roadblocks that you had experienced publishing this book?
Well, I would say this one was definitely somewhat easier because I have 2 books. So this is my second book right here. So when I was writing this book, I felt like I was writing this one with experience this time. Like this time, I actually know what I'm doing. I know about like book formatting, the ins and outs really of making a really nice book. So the only real roadblock I had with this one was the fact that I was still in school and still working full time. So there'll be some days I just had to choose the book over work. Like I would literally come to work and just work on my book.
And to relate what you just said, once again, I fully relate because I consider my podcast as a business, right? I consider my content creation as a business, right? I consider us having this interview, all this shit is a business. All this within this frame is a business, but it's a product of my creativity, my gift that I feel like I believe I'm chosen. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So it's a lot of times, you know, when you know you built for something, you gotta. It's like, all right, I read this book, Rich Dad Poor Dad, right? Yeah. He said in the book, mind your own business, right? And it says a lot of people that work jobs that don't have their own business. So they mind someone else's business instead of their own business. So it's like, just say if I was in accounting, we just gonna put it in short. Just say if I was in accounting, if someone asked me, what business, he said, so what is your business? Oh, I'm an accountant. No, that's a profession. You're underneath someone else's business, being an accountant under someone else's business. So you're not minding your own business because you're not building something for you. You're building something for someone else. Right. Agreed. So when we run that back to what you just said, like I think a lot of people, they really will put their job over their own gift. Yeah. They will literally substitute. They'll literally believe that they have more fear of they losing their job than more fear of not chasing their goals. Yeah. And that shit just seemed like it's crazy to me, you know. But I think it just comes with the fact that what you were saying earlier, that you know, just that feeling of how people feel about you doing you, or what the feeling of that judgment. Yeah. Most people are scared of judgment. Most people are scared of judgment. 100%. Like most people are scared of how their mama would feel, how their uncle would feel, how their cousin would feel, how their sister would feel, how their friends would feel about them pursuing something what they want to pursue. And like most people, they hate the factor of, like most people go out their way to hate because they see you doing your thing, and they will hate on you because they know that they should be doing what you're doing. Which is fucking crazy. It's crazy talk, but it's true. Like, you will literally have probably one of your homies like be in that joint. You be in there, you just wrapping it up. Like, you just say you was writing hella fucking poems. Boom, you just knocking them joints out, publishing each one of them joints. You start to see that progression. You got one of your homies like, damn, bro, like, blase, you know what I'm saying? Why do you da-da-da-da? You be like, wait, hold on, what the fuck is you talking about? Like, and then they start hating because they know they should be doing what you're doing. And it's like, I think hate to me, personally to me, I think hate is just a reflection of not of hate. Hate is really a reflection of them hating themselves, of not doing what they should do.
That's facts.
You see what I'm saying? Like,
That's facts.
I even, you ever had people like hate on your poem? You ever had? All right. I put it this way: have you ever been in a situation where somebody, just a random nigga, just hated on your poem and then made you feel some type of way?
Well, at least not to my face. I mean, from what I've seen, I've never seen a negative comment, but you never know what people say behind closed doors. So I can't give a definite answer.
That's a fact.
Yeah.
That's a fact. I mean, a lot of people say a lot of things, especially when they say it right then and there. But either or, bruh. So, and just like, what is when it comes to your book, right?
Mm-hmm.
What was your first thoughts when you first published it? Like your first immediate thoughts, like while you was writing it, and then when you published it, what was that feeling? Were you nervous? Was it like, was you like?
I would say anxious, because I was just like, because like I told you, I do have fear of judgment. So I was like, are people going to read this and be like, I see his vision, like I like this, or like, what is this? Like, what the fuck is this? And it's just like also because I didn't like, how can I put this? Since me personally, I didn't see anyone else before me do it, I didn't really have anything to like go off. So I didn't know if people were gonna really like, oh, what type of poetry is this? I don't really like this. You know what I'm saying? So I was just anxious, not knowing if people would like it or not. But I mean, people fuck with it.
Oh shit! What type of self work you had to do on yourself within that process?
Self work.
What's some things? What's some realizations you had to go through? Because I know, especially doing what you're doing what I'm doing, and people who's doing what they're doing. Mm-hmm. Of course, it came with some level of self work. Like if I want to be very transparent, for me, it had to be like the same thing: dealing with judgment, dealing with confidence, dealing with like what people may think. How do I'm gonna start? What people may think, like, or will I even be able to make it to the end of the finish line? Right. That was like one of the biggest problems with me. But over the course of time, what I had to do was, I believe that you have reinsurance at times when you more self-educate yourself within the field that you want to be in.
Facts.
Because it's like, that's like me diving into poetry, right?
Yeah.
If I dive into poetry and know nothing about poetry, of course I'm half fear fella. Yeah. I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? I don't know what the hell I'm doing. So I didn't do any type of research. I didn't do any type of internal work on top of that. So of course I'm gonna have some level of fear within that field. But damn, I even lost questions. I'm over there answering my own question that I even asked. But all in all, like, I think I asked you a question earlier. I don't even think we really bounced on that. How did you feel changing your narrative? What was the narrative that was implanted in you that people want you to, well, your parents or people wanted you to become beforehand?
I don't think I changed. How can I put this? Because naturally, I'm like a relaxed person. Usually I look out for the people that I love. I'm like a people's person. People naturally like me most times. So I think the narrative that I changed is that I just let more people inside, more people know about my life, my mindset, my thought process. So I think the narrative changed that, like, it's cool. Not cool, but it's okay as a dude, to let people know how you feeling, how you, things you went through, things you overcame. So that was a narrative that I think sort of changed, I guess. So I think in a good way, though. So,
in a good way, okay.
Yeah.
So what do you think people, what do you think, what is some things that you can give to people as far as like what they would need to do for themselves to move up, to follow what they want to, desire, what they desire? What do you think people should do to be in the route to following their desires or making those desires happen?
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, everyone's path is different. So I'm not about to sit here and be like, you have to, like, if you do this, this is going to happen. Because at the end of the day, you never know what life is going to bring you. But like I've said many times before, when you get serious about something, I feel like the things will align. Like the universe will let you know you made the right decision. You just got to be attentive, you know. You'll always know if you made the right decision. So I feel like especially for the young dudes out there, being disciplined, it changed my life. My life changed forever when I got more discipline. Not that everything, I still got things to figure out. I still got things I go through, things that I struggle with, but when I got disciplined, my life 100% changed for the better, and I've never looked back. So, like I said earlier, now I feel like I'm really a man of my word. So if I say I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. It's going to happen. It's going to get done. You know, just being more serious. Learn, and then it's just like when you realize that, you know, like, life isn't promised. Like, your life can be taken instantly, you know. Just wrong place, wrong time. It could be a car accident. And it doesn't really matter what it is. So just learning to get serious, you know. Take advantage of life. And, you know, even in the process of figuring it out, you know, realizing that you still have it better than some people. So you just gotta, you know, put goals into place and get it done. So yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, you went over a whole lot.
Yeah.
You went over a whole lot. So, do each one of your books explains, like, well, of course, it explains a different meaning. But does some of these books correlate to, like, this book specifically?
Oh, well, I only got 2. So I feel like my first book, I feel like that was like my appetizer book. Like, just showing people what I can do. Because the book isn't that long. It's about 30 pages. It's really flimsy. Like, you can literally flip it. Yeah.
Flip them pages.
But second book, I feel like this is when, like, this is me showing everybody that, like, I'm legit. Like, the first time wasn't a fluke. It wasn't I was bored, so I just wrote pages. Like, Chosen is me showing people I'm legit. Like, I'm really an author. Like, I really write books. Like, I really get shit done. So, yeah. But to answer your question, though, the first 2 books I wouldn't say they correlate to each other too much. I mean, both of the books have similar ideas in, like a poetry collection of different topics. So they have similar ideas, but when you read it, you'll see, like, I mean, I think this book is way better than my first one, you know. Well, a lot of people read my first one, and a good amount of people have my second one. I think it's evident in my second book.
That's right.
Yeah, it's better than my first one. So,
you got any other books cooking up in the stew?
Keep it right now. No, I'm still right now. My focus is people reading this one. So maybe I want to say when the year ends, that's when book 3 will really start cooking up in my head.
So my quick question here is that by your end goal, how many books do you expect to have drop by your end goal? Do you expect like 30, 100 books?
I'm trying to get more into spoken word, so this could be my last book right here. I could retire after 2. I feel like, especially someone like, if you're a person who really, really likes reading and you're into poetry and English, if you read my 2 books, you'll realize that these are 2 really, really good poetry collection books. So me personally, I feel like I can hang it up after 2, but I know people wouldn't want me to hang it up after 2. So I'm gonna say 3, 4.
3 or 4.
Yeah, 3 or 4. Yeah.
Who is someone that motivates you to do more of the book more often? Who is someone that, like, you could resemble yourself as? Some people may say no one. Some people may say, like, a particular person. Like what I mean by that is, like, just like how some authors and some poets, they might say, you know, they might say Tupac or they might say Shakespeare. Like, you know, some shit like that. You feel me? It's like who is someone, you know, who is someone that you feel as though, you know, I can relate to this person. And this look like this could be someone that they ain't in my same lane, but they look like it to be doing something similar to me. But I can see myself being in their position.
I don't know. I don't want to give you the cliche answer, bro, and say nobody. But, I mean, keep it real. No one in particular, but someone that, like, I would say I try to, like, copy their ways a little bit. I feel like this might not make sense. But I feel like it does make sense. But, like, Young Dolph. Like, how Dolph was all about. Dolph. Yeah, being independent, not signing to a label. You know, being self-made. So that's how I am, like, self-made. I'm trying to be self-made with what I'm doing. So, you know, God bless his soul. That somebody is, like, that really motivated me. Like, you know, even though he was in a whole different area, you know, doing rapping, obviously it's probably easier to do it all rapping. But at the end of the day, I still respected Dolph, how he came up.
Sure. I mean,
being independent. So,
even with rap and poetry, it's kind of like in the same thing. Just rap just got beat. That's all it is. Rap just got beat. Rap is just a form of poetry.
Right.
And, you know, and I could consider you and you know, and a rapper and like in the same lane. It's just that you know, you don't use beats. I mean, can you use beats? Have you ever tried on the beat?
I'm gonna try before the years, but so far, nah, I ain't got no beat
yet. Yeah. So for sure. So I think that's all the questions I really had, bruh. I don't really think I had none too specific in this joint. So go ahead, you go ahead and show the people your book again for sure. Where can they find you? What's your Instagram? What's your information so they could really just tap in with you?
All right. My Instagram, Twitter, Fat Mike 1017. I sell the book on Amazon, Barnes and Noble, and I carry around hard copies. I still got probably like 20 or 30. So, you know, anybody that watches it that's interested, you know, I'd be willing to work something out with them. But yeah.
All right, that's a bet. So, I guess, man. I mean, that's that. Wrap it up right now. Shit. Right. When the next time when you do your book, we could definitely run another one. Definitely run another one for sure. You know.
Probably beginning of next year.
Yeah, we could definitely run another one for sure, and just kind of like just dive more in depth because I don't really have any specific questions off the top of the head. Yeah, I don't really have nothing too specific. Yeah, I think I've answered. I've asked as many questions as I can. I mean, I ain't want to get like too in depth and specific because I know your book does describe your, you know, I'm figuring I'm assuming that the book does describe like your history, like some history in that book. So I don't want to dive too much in your history and be spoiling the poem. You know, I mean, we ain't trying to spoil the poems there. We ain't trying to spoil no poems there. So, anyways, guys, I appreciate you guys for listening, for tapping into this video. We gonna be available on all platforms, on Apple, Spotify, whatever you get your podcast, including YouTube. This shit's gonna be on YouTube for sure.